Welcome to Get Your Bell Rung, a pro wrestling podcast. I am your host, KG, and with me tonight, WWE, WWF, and Hall of Famer, the Cooker, Bob Cook. Below me is your radio host of Wrestling Memories, the Grizzle Vet. And next to the Grizzle Vet is WCW's own author of Looking Up at the Lights, talking about Robbie Idol. What's going on, gentlemen?
Well, I'd just like to say that a friend of mine gave me a 22-pound turkey for Thanksgiving, and no, his name's not Robbie Idol.
Robbie Idol's Thanksgiving Day gift. Robbie Idol's Thanksgiving gift to the cooker, a swift kick in the ass.
Well, technically, I meant that's not the name of the turkey, but okay.
See, I got the joke, Robbie. I got the joke.
Tonight's a special night for all of our fans because they get to see this beautiful face twice tonight. Of course, I just got done doing an interview with Sim Brody. You guys check that out. Pretty damn good interview, if I say so myself. Sim Brody's a good guy. Also, guys, tonight, Get Your Bell Rung Pro Wrestling Podcast made its premiere on ECUSA. And again, you can find it on Roku, on your Fire Stick. I think Apple carries it as well. Just go search it out on whatever device that you have. Type it in, whatever, just like you would type in HBO Max or Netflix, and it'll come up and you download it. It's free. There's all kinds of content on there, including lots of professional wrestling. So check that out. Please show us some support. And don't forget to subscribe our podcast and share with everybody. Tonight, we are doing our recap of AEW Dynamite. And I can tell you guys right now, just from our conversations before we went on air, there's going to be a little bit of disagreements between some of us rational and reasonable people against people like Mike or the Grizzle Vet, but we'll get there.
What did I do to you?
Nothing, man.
Mikey's already shooting on you already.
Look, you know what?
I was nice enough to put together all those new social media sites,
I was just
which he
about
hasn't
to,
even talked about yet.
I was, which we will talk about tonight, actually, and I was more in detail. We go off air, but I was actually going to bring that up. The old Grizzle Vet here, I gotta give him flowers. He was kind enough. He's created a Get Your Bell Rung pro wrestling. By the way, Michael, it's pro wrestling, not professional. Pro wrestling podcast.
Okay, I can fix that.
Yep. A blog. You can find online, and as well as our very own Facebook page. And I think as well as there's a couple of other social media pages as well, isn't it?
We are working on X and Instagram. I have not gotten those yet.
Yeah.
So yes, you can find us at getyourbellrung.blogspot.com to read the great and very large amounts of words from KG Landry. I have to edit this stuff, folks, for the blog. It's great. And yes, you can also find the Get Your Bell Rung Professional Wrestling Podcast, as I call this, on Facebook. We're 200 followers so far, man. We're off and running.
Well, for the record, I sent out 3,000 invites, so that's the truth.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. And as far as and yes, I'm not going to deny my writing is very long, but I'm very detailed in the things that I talk about.
AI does tend to ramble.
So you know what? I just got into it with somebody that AI is ruined short posts. And first off, I don't use AI to write my stuff. Not everybody is to the point where they can only read at a 5th grade level or write at 5th grade level. Some of us actually can write. Now, yes, I do use AI to make sure to get any punctuation errors or spelling and to format it, but the words come from me. So
that's what I do too. That's what I use it for. Other than that, I'm a genius.
Is there any truth to the rumor there's a photo of you and Bob kissing on AI?
Me and Bob kissing? You know,
That was an Epstein
Okay, I'm just
email.
because I know AJ Lee has that issue right now. I thought maybe
Well,
there was
you know, what the issue is Bob Cook actually pulled a Bill Cosby on me. All right. He shared a drink. Next thing you know, I'm waking up and he's trying to kiss me. And I'm so confused by this. But we talked it out. Bob said it was a mistake. He was drunk himself and he just thought I was an ugly broad. So we moved
what
on.
happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. You know, hey.
What happens at the CAC reunion stays at the CAC reunion.
No,
why
what
I
happens
stay
at
home.
the CAC reunion goes on Facebook. Trust me. That's how I follow all you guys during the reunion.
Well, Bob, actually, my wife just asked me a question. The Evil Knievel Museum in Vegas is opening up here next year in 2026.
Yep.
Are you going to that?
Planning on going to the grand opening if everything works out right and I don't have the heart attack until after.
Did you go to the doctor yet?
I'm not going to the doctor, so there you go.
Bob, you know the pain. You know how much of a pain in the ass it is to find a co-host that's worth a fuck.
Obviously, but the fact you got me is pretty hard.
Well, I mean, but this is the problem. I was fortunate enough to get the Grizzle Vet. I was fortunate enough to get Robbie Idol and yourself. I think I've used all of my luck when it comes to getting good co-hosts on this podcast. So if you croak on me, I'm going to get stuck with somebody shitty. And I'm going to take issue with that.
Wouldn't it be funny if I did it from the hospital bed, though?
I don't care. I mean, our previous co-host,
your
Mark,
monitors at the bottom of the screen so we can watch it.
Well, hopefully.
It's not any worse than our previous co-host, Mark, who was my original co-host, laying in bed doing the damn podcast. Dude looked like he was on OnlyFans. It's driving me nuts. Sprout out talking. Hey, what's up? What the fuck?
Well, that's money saved.
But let's get into AEW, guys. We started off with action. Bobby Lashley going against Ricochet. It was for the number one spot in the Casino Gauntlet at Full Gear. I thought this match started off pretty funny. Ricochet decided he was going to try to cut a promo. Bobby Lashley put an end to that. Pretty much kicked Ricochet's ass. Bobby Lashley, of course, winning by pinfall after the spear. I wasn't really going to start with the Grizzle Vet, but I know he kind of has a salty attitude about AEW right now. So we're going to start with Bob Cook.
What did I do to you? God. Jeebus.
Bob, what you think about this match, man?
You know, I didn't think it was bad. I was a Ricochet fan back when he was Prince Puma and Lucha Underground. He was amazing. Right. I can't stand his promos, though. It's incredibly annoying. And I get it. He's a heel. Blah, blah, blah. That doesn't mean you want to turn the channel when you're a heel. It just means you don't like him. I've never been a fan of Bobby Lashley. You keep pushing the 50-year-olds. You're going to keep pushing the young generation that wants to watch away. You know, come on. Tony Khan's, I'm going to be honest right now. Tony Khan is pushing Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and VIP or VA, whatever the hell he calls himself this week.
MVP.
Simply to prove he's not racist because of the racist Khan and claims that VMP, what the hell's his name? VPN, whatever.
MVP.
Pushed on to Triple H. That's the only reason Tony Khan's doing. Not because he thinks they got talent, not because he thinks they'll draw, not because their ratings are going to get higher, not because they're going to sell merchandise. Simply to prove he's an upstanding white man. And you know it's true. Go ahead and ban me.
So is it that, or is it a fact, and Grizzle, I'll go with you with this, is it that, or is it the fact that although AEW has a lot of young, talented people, look, they're a young company, they don't really have anyone that has that legendary resume that's been in the business as long as MVP, Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin. What are your thoughts on that, Grizzle? And the match.
I don't know if I would. I don't know if I use those words to describe Bobby and Shelton. I mean, they've had decent careers, but I mean, I just don't think they've ever been given
right.
You know what they can do. I kind of agree with Bob. I think some of the the push that Bobby and Shelton again. I think Tony's kind of doing a kind of look at me type of thing. You know, look who I'm pushing. I kind of agree with him a little bit on that one. As far as this match goes, though, it's a very one-sided feud. I'm getting tired of seeing Ricochet and his version of the MFT versus Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley. We've seen it. Match was okay. I mean, went what I expected. I expected Bobby Lashley was going to win, and that kind of gives me the expectation of who was going to win. Another match is coming up, but it was all right. I'm not salty. I'm just, it was not a very exciting after the week before with blood and guts and everything that happened. And you come into this one, it was like Tony just flat out stomped on the brakes and put a stop to everything right off the bat. It didn't like kind of just drop down a little bit. It just went boom, quick decline down from the week before.
Yeah. So obviously I was joking when I called you salty. Now I tell you I agree with you as far as the whole feud between Ricochet and the Hurt Syndicate and Ricochet with his guys that he has. But I don't think that this is where this is going to. I think it just so happened that they did start with Bobby Lashley and Ricochet. And I will get to where I think this is going to lead to once we get there. Now, before we get to you, Robbie, and I want to mention this, and then before we started talking about AEW from last night, this is something that I wrote that you'll be able to check out on the blog, and I called it putting the cart before the horse. Tony Khan went on a podcast and said that they were getting very close to catching up and surpassing WWE in ratings. This guy is full of himself. Look, I'm an AEW fan, but come on, man. I mean, they're not even close to catching up with WWE. And part of this little article that I wrote, I actually put in the views and the demos from this year and the 18 to 49 age group. And yes, the numbers has picked up a little bit, but again, Tony Khan, he needs to humble himself, because just because he tasted a little bit of success with ratings going up doesn't mean they're closing the gap between them and WWE. Robbie, do you think this is one of the matches that will help AEW closing that gap between them and WWE?
No. I mean, I don't even know that match would have helped close the gap between AEW and NXT. So, I mean, watching the match and Ricochet doing his promo and stuff for 10 minutes while Bobby Lashley stood there, I mean, the thought going through my head, I already knew Bobby was winning. I was like, all right, what we know Bobby's going to win. Here's what would be cool. As soon as, Lashley goes at him, match over. So, like, I wouldn't even have gave it as long as it went. I just would have had Lashley over, hit him with the spear as soon as he turned around from his promo, and it's over. I mean, they kind of lagged it, and they, I think it would have been better off, but no, there's no way that match is closing the gap.
Well, I got to tell you, you must have started off being bored right away, because whenever you're bored, things tend to seem like they're longer than what they are. I don't even think Ricochet got a full minute into that promo before Bobby Lashley started whipping his ass. But point taken, I thought that part was silly. The match itself was okay. Next, we go to a backstage segment. Samoa Joe and Shibata. Joe cut a promo on Hangman Page, promising punishment for his transgressions against the Ops, and particularly Powerhouse Hobbs, because of what happened last week on Blood and Guts. Samoa Joe was pretty intense during this promo, but I got to be honest with you guys. As much as I love AEW, and I do love AEW, this did nothing to excite me about the upcoming pay-per-view on Saturday. Grizzle, let's start with you,
Grizzy.
my man.
Grizzy?
That's his new name, Grizzy.
Grizzy. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
You got the
Promo
raw
was
dog,
alright.
the cooker, and Grizzy.
Yeah, the cooker and the greasy. Be one of them 1970s like sitcoms like BJ and the Bear.
I like it.
We'll get that on ECUSA TV.
We go around and clean up the corruption in strip clubs in the 1970s. It'd be a pretty hairy situation, but we'll get the job done. Get it? Hairy situation, 1970s. I get it.
I got that. No, the promo was all right, but of course, you're expecting, Samoa Joe's good at the promos. You're expecting a little intensity, but this is kind of the beginning of it for me. Nothing really in this show screamed, go home, screamed, watch Full Gear. This was a really bad, just kind of a go home show for the the pay-per-view coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, I wouldn't use, and this is just for myself, I wouldn't say it was bad, but I wouldn't even say it was good, though. It was somewhere in between.
It was standard.
And you brought up an interesting point. If this would have just been a regular Dynamite, I think that the bar for expectation would have been lowered. And it's a standard Dynamite. It was decent. But because this is a go-home show, because this is a show that really is supposed to get you excited to watch their pay-per-view on Saturday, I think they failed. And this is why I can agree that although I don't think it was terrible, I don't think it was good either. Robbie, were you doing handstands listening to Joe and getting excited?
Promo?
Yes, and getting excited for the
promo. If I could have done a handstand, no, I wouldn't have done a handstand.
He can barely do feet stands.
It's just it's basically back to cruise control again. You would think you'd be trying to push your show, like you're saying, the go home show. So you'd think you'd be pushing it a little bit harder and stuff, and it just, it was like cruise control.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Cooker.
Well, I know we're on a different subject, but to go back to those ratings, Tony Khan, here's the situation. SmackDown ratings are on the decline. Just because they're on the decline, maybe getting closer to your current ratings, doesn't mean you're on the rise to compete with. Come on, it's a whole stupid scenario. But, I'm not a big Samoa Joe fan, as anybody knows.
I actually, that's what, honestly, that is kind of what threw my head when I heard he said that. And it was exactly that. Is it because AEW is gaining and they're catching up in his eyes, or is it because more of WWE is kind of losing?
Yeah,
right. But yeah, the promo for me, it was okay, but it didn't get me excited to watch this match between the two. It didn't make me look at the date and the time and start circling, how many seconds before Saturday. The next segment we go to is the Young Bucks and Josh Alexander against SkyFlight, Dante and Darius Martin and Scorpio Sky. Man, Scorpio Sky has really gone down the ranks with AEW. This was a guy that they pushed. He was a champ at one time. He was part of the team who won the very first tag team championship on AEW, and now don't know if he's just at that point in his career with AEW where he was hired back just to push the younger talent. I like Scorpio Sky, so I don't know how I feel about him being with Dante and Darius Martin, although they are a decent tag team. It's not like they are putting a whole bunch of asses in seats. The match is okay. Alexander forced Dante Martin to tap out. The big takeaway from this match was Don Callis asking if the Young Bucks, if they were now going to be part of the family. Now look, they're pretty much just giving away what's going to happen as far as I'm concerned, unless they're really trying to swerve us, because during the match, you've seen the tension between Josh Alexander and the Young Bucks. Josh Alexander kind of being an ass clown, a little bit of a bully. we seen Kenny Omega come to the ring. The Young Bucks is kind of putting off, saying that, yes, we're part of the Don Callis family. They attack, when I say they, the Don Callis family attack Kenny Omega. Don Callis says, instead of telling us, show us you're part of the family with your finisher move. They wanted them to do that on Omega, the V-trigger. And because Young Bucks kind of, they stood there not knowing what to do, that allowed Bandito to come in for the save. Guys, you guys even care about this storyline at all? And am I wrong by saying they're pretty much giving it away as far as we know the Young Bucks are on the way to turn into baby faces? Go ahead.
I don't care.
Go ahead, Idol.
I don't care. I mean, I really don't. Yeah, okay. So, I mean,
Nobody gives a damn.
Yep. Grizzle Vet. Is this storyline so intriguing that you're sitting on the edge of your seat, biting your nail, sweating, just waiting for that answer?
Well, I might have been sitting on the edge of my seat and sweating, but that's because I was in the bathroom. No. The match itself was all right. I still don't know. You say it's the never. I still don't know. I still, unfortunately, see that possible Kenny Omega making the deal with the devil again just to screw with us. I don't see it being a for certain yet. What I'm taking away from it though is, and I don't get this, they're doing this on Full Gear on Saturday. The Young Bucks and Josh Alexander versus Lucha, or not Lucha, Jurassic Express and Kenny Omega in $1 million match.
Right.
They did a $400,000 match.
Right.
They did a $500,000 match. Now we're doing $1 million match.
Right.
It's like, why do we keep? And there's a $200,000 match on like the pre-show on Saturday.
Pre-show.
I don't get why we're doing all these.
The winner gets that money. Is that what the
money matches?
Yeah, the winner gets money. And
so
let me correct
stupid.
myself real quick, please. I said that it was Bandito. Actually, it was the Jurassic Express that actually came to the ring to save Kenny Omega. And matter of fact,
I have to talk about.
The Luchasaurus actually had a fucking vacuum cleaner.
That's exactly what I was going to talk to you about.
Go ahead.
We're talking about, we're beating him in the Brady's. When you watch Monday Night Raw and somebody comes down to make the save, they bring a chair or they bring, something, a chair, a bat.
Well, they bring a fake bat. Oh, wait a minute.
Well, whichever. But they bring a Kindle. They bring something that looks intimidating. Why the hell does Jurassic Express come out with a snow shovel and a vacuum cleaner?
Right.
I was like, okay. That for me, I started laughing. I kind of blew the save for me as Luchasaurus was swinging a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
And the commentary, I think might have been Tony who said it.
Yeah.
Was that they brought whatever they could get their hands on. Why would there be a vacuum cleaner backstage at the arena?
I'm sure Megan Bain was backstage. Why didn't you bring her out if you get? Never mind.
You remember when I said that I hate
blew
cheese?
Any seriousness for me?
You know when I said I hate cheese in wrestling? I hate stupid shit. And at the time we're talking about WWE. Exactly what I'm talking about with the AEW. Point in case. This is supposed to be a serious storyline, right? And they do this type of stupid shit. Bob.
Yep.
Whatever you have.
You ain't gonna ask him to make sense of this.
Oh,
Right? Holy shit.
Well, it's spectacular, stupendous, amazing. I fell asleep through a part of that segment, but
yeah.
It's my fault that Bob's even watching this show now.
That's true.
To him,
and I'm going to watch the show on Saturday.
Yeah. I don't know. Like
I'll
I
watch
said,
the replay. I'll skip to see the stuff I want to see if there is any.
Part of the reason why
I'm going to watch the whole 8-hour show.
I'm working, so I can't.
Part of the reason why I think they're giving it away, guys, is because, again, fine. I'll give it to you, Grizzle, that maybe Ken Omega, once again, signing his soul away to the devil. But I don't even think it's going to go that way because, look, on this show, we have a match between the guy that is going to join if he loses. What is his name again?
Mark Briscoe.
Briscoe?
Yeah,
Oh,
Briscoe
boy.
against Fletcher. Briscoe loses, which we know that's going to happen. He has to join Don Callis' family.
I don't think we know that's going to happen either.
I don't see them taking the title off of Fletcher. But my point is this. It's getting ridiculous, the amount of people that is in this faction. It's getting as ridiculous as it is with Mercedes Moné winning another fucking belt, right? On Collision, she won the ROH title now.
No,
It's
she
getting-
unified.
Because
She was the interim
right, she was. Granted,
champion,
but still.
or it was
Right,
so
right.
it
I
was
get
the
it.
unification of it. So she didn't
Right,
get
right.
another belt. She still only has 13.
But it's still stupid. Regardless, it's getting ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know. Robbie, is this really a nail biter? Do we really not know which direction they're going to go in? Are you still kind of torn about if they're going to have Fletcher drop the belt?
No, I agree with you. I don't see it happening, because you're trying to push Fletcher. So why would it make sense? I mean, the only reason you would see Briscoe winning is not to put him in there and taking the belt, and then at some show soon you're going to take it back off of him.
Right.
But here we go again. You're just bringing another guy in. You already got 20 guys as it is. Do you really need the 21st guy? I mean,
Right.
The match was stupid to begin with. Like, that whole setup was stupid to begin with.
Yep. Next, we go to Shelton Benjamin against Speedball Mike Bailey. In my opinion, that was probably the best match of the night. Now, earlier I said that I didn't believe the Ricochet against Lashley was setting up for more of a feud between the two. I actually think what they're setting up for is for either Benjamin or Lashley or Bobby. They're going to turn. Someone's going to turn on the other person, in my opinion. I think that's the direction they're really going to go into. Really good match. Even though I'm not a Speedball Mike Bailey fan, he is really good in the ring. Shelton Benjamin defeated Speedball Mike Bailey. What I found interesting was the commentary by MVP during this match. He's kind of harsh a little bit on Shelton Benjamin, talking about Shelton Benjamin basically plays with his food too much. He said a couple of other things. I think that we're going to have Lashley turn on Benjamin. Just my opinion. Start with you, Bob.
Talk about
match.
boring. You're going to have two 50-year-olds going at it. Oh, how exciting. Go back to those guys and their usefulness. They're not in the same league as bringing in Chris Jericho at an older age, not in the same league as bringing in Edge at an older age. I have no interest in them wrestling at all, let alone against each other.
The problem is we don't have Edge right now.
Yeah, but you did. The point was you did.
Right. I get that, but right now, I guess that's who they feel like they should be using. Robbie, your thoughts on everything, man?
I have to agree with you on a bunch of things. Like on their same thing. I'm not a Speedball fan, but the kid is good. I have to give him that. He is good. I'm not a fan of him, not invested in him, but he is good. I kind of thought the same thing when you got 1 and 2. I'm like, well, we're headed for them splitting this team up. I wasn't looking at it as one of them's going to turn on the other. I just kind of look at we're heading for a split up here, because you're wondering, okay, if these two guys are the final two, who's one of them's got to go over. So right. Who's going over, who's doing what.
Right.
So I was looking at it as we're setting it up to split them up.
Right. Or maybe, just maybe, you'll have the finger poke of death 2.0. Go ahead, Grizzle. What'd you think?
They're splitting up. They're going to split it up. It's going to be Bobby turning on Shelton. Because I think Shelton would do better as like the fan favorite in this, right. The face in this one. when Bobby Lashley won the first match, and then they announced that Shelton Benjamin versus Mike Bailey was for the number 2 spot, well, you already knew that Shelton Benjamin was going to win because obviously Lashley's kind of a, so they're the first 2 entrants in the Casino Gauntlet. Now they could do it when the third person comes in, the 2 of them team up and totally blow this whole, for now or whatever, or just blow it off at all. Match was good though. I agree with you. It's probably the best match of the night. I like Speedball Mike Bailey though. Mm-hmm. I am a fan of his. MVP's commentary about Shelton needs to quit playing with his food. I kind of like that because that's showing MVP kind of getting frustrated. Shelton's not got that killer instinct that Bobby Lashley has. So
right. Yeah, the thing with Mike Bailey, I'm a fan of his work. As Robbie says, I agree. He is so good. I'm not a fan of his character, the gear that he wears, being barefoot. I just don't like it for some reason. But the guy is fantastic in the ring. He really is. Him both and Kevin Bailey. They're both great guys work wise. Next, we go to the women's tag team tournament quarterfinal. Timeless, Love Bombs, Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa against Alex Windsor and Riho. Storm hits the Storm Zero to secure the victory. It was a decent match. I mean, I'm not going to say it wasn't. It was a good match. It was actually the second best match on the show, in my opinion. Start with you, Grizzle Vet.
I was going to say your camera went blurry there for a second. It made you look wonderful, though. So it brought out your natural beauty.
Yeah.
Standard match. I enjoyed it. Obviously, Timeless, Toni Storm, and that's the team that I've picked to win this whole thing. We'll see if that happens. But it was an all right match. Everything on this show was an all right match, which could have been why Shelton and Mike Bailey proved to be the best match of the show because everything was just kind of average. It was all right.
Right.
Would I have been upset if I missed it? No. Does it upset me? Or does it make me want to watch the pay-per-view? This has nothing to do with the pay-per-view because they're doing some weird where the 4 semifinalist teams are facing in a 4-way match where the winner gets to pick the stipulation for their semifinal match. Right. What about the other semifinal match? They don't get us. Okay. So one will have a stipulation, one won't. I don't get what giving them a stipulation other than, as I've said before, Tony likes to book everybody in his roster on one show. Tony is the king of the multi-person matches.
Yeah.
But we're talking about Dynamite and okay match.
Right. Bob, I know this had to be one of your favorite matches because they have exactly your favorite thing in the entire world of this match, women.
It was women, but what was Shelton Benjamin's greatest moment in all the years he's been in wrestling? No one knows the answer. Like the super kick that Shawn Michaels gave him when he jumped. That was it. That's his greatest moment. We can forget about him now. Back to the women.
I honestly, hold on. I thought it was him dyeing his hair blonde. Whatever he was.
He did that.
When he was
that was that other kid.
No, that was Shelton.
He was a natural 2.0.
Yeah, he was the gold. Did they call him the golden something or the other?
The gold standard.
The golden standard. Yeah,
he was the gold standard. Shelton Benjamin.
Wow.
Yep.
No, I thought the women's match was okay. Nothing spectacular. I noticed Toni Storm's butt's getting bigger, but some people liked it, I guess. But
nothing wrong with some booty. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Yep. She got some childbirth and hips. That's for sure.
Don't say that. She'll be pregnant next week. If she came over here, oh.
Next is the main event. Actually, Robbie, your thoughts on the match, man?
It was okay, just okay. I'm not whatever Tony's partner, the chick's name is. I'm not a fan of her. I'm not a fan of her. I'm not a fan. I guess it's maybe the dancing she does in between, like in the beginning and stuff. And now we got Tony doing the dancing. I'm like, yeah, we could do without that shit. But not a fan of her. But it was an okay match. I've seen better. Let's put it that way. But
yeah.
So it's funny because Well, because who's the one that says it's the grizzled vet that thinks that Tony and her are going to win the tournament.
Yeah,
That's my
my pick is going to be the surprise pick. I pick Willow and Harley.
Which they had a backstage segment last night.
Yes.
Well, I was about to say that, and I also skipped over Julia Hart and Sky Blue had a backstage segment last night. And I used to be really big on Julia Hart when she came out to her music. I love the song she comes out to, dressed in all black, very much that Black Heart type thing. And now putting her with, and I know Sky Blue has been a part of that whole, at one time, faction that had Brody King and Alex, what was his name again? WWE guy now.
Malachi Black.
Black
and House of Black.
Black, right.
Yeah, Black
that was cool.
And Buddy Murphy. Buddy
Murphy, right. That was cool. I liked her in that. And Sky had started to be part of that, and then Sky Blue got injured, and she came back. Now they're taking part of Sisters of Sin or something like that. I am not invested into Julia Hart or Sky Blue anymore. They bore me now. That interview, that promo did nothing for me at all whatsoever. Grizzle, were you ever at one point a fan of Julia Hart when she was with Malachi Black and Brody King and Buddy Murphy? And if so, what do you think about her now?
I liked her with the House of Black. It was just kind of me. I thought, interesting character. Didn't mind it too much. But then when you look, and she was the with Pillman Jr.
Pillman
Jr. Griff Garrison. She was their cheerleader or whatever at one point.
Yep.
So, I prefer the darker character for her.
Right.
I think she plays it off. And I don't mind the Sisters of Sin tag team. I don't mind it. I think they're probably one of the more actual, because there's no real teams in any of the group. It's just a bunch. So you got the Sisters of Sin. And I mean, Willow and Harley are kind of bonding together as the Babes of Wrath. So, they're trying, but there's no real actual women's tag teams. There's just a bunch of women they threw together. Right. And at least this one, they're trying with like something cohesive between the two of them.
Right. And it's not that I think they're bad in the ring. I still love, Julia Hart in the ring. The problem is that they're outside of the ring, their promos, they're boring to me for whatever reason. I'm just not interested in them whatsoever. Robbie, what is your take on it?
I'm a Sky Blue fan. I like her. Then, like Grizzle Vet said, there's like two teams in there, and one got eliminated that are probably cohesive. So you had Julia Hart and Sky, which are cohesive, and then you're Anna Jay and Ty Mello because they've been together for a long time. I think Sky Blue's been great in like all the hardcore matches she's done. So I'm a big fan of her. Like she was great in Blood and Guts. She was great in a lot of, with Willow in the hardcore match. And I think she had another one with somebody else. So, wasn't it Willow and Statlander against her and Julia Hart?
Right.
So, I mean, she, I like her. I like Julia Hart when she was in, like with House of Black and stuff, but I think they're fine.
Bob, do you think that Julia Hart and Sky Blue were better as single wrestlers, or do you think they're better as a tag team?
I don't know. I just think Julia Hart's hot, and that's good enough for me. Other than that, I really don't have much of an opinion. You should know that by now.
So next, let's go to the main event of the night, which is Hangman Adam Page against Shibata. Page gets the win. Reinforces his momentum heading into Full Gear against Samoa Joe. Again, this is a main event. This is your world heavyweight champion, Adam Page. This should have been a match. This is a go-home show that made you excited for the match against him and Samoa Joe, especially since it's a cage match. And I have to tell you, I'm not. It was a fine match. Didn't do anything for me as far as wanting to be invested into the the match with Page and Samoa Joe. And I want to be excited. I'm just not. Robbie, start with you. Talk to me, man.
Speak.
Yeah, it didn't excite me. I mean, Adam or Hangman Page as your champion. I mean, I don't know. It just, to me, it's like, is he really over? Or they, I don't know that do people really care? I mean, I think, back in the day, maybe the stuff with Swerve and even like his stuff in Ring of Honor and stuff like that, it was, more highly regarded of him and stuff. Now I just kind of think he's boring.
Well,
that's my take on it.
Well, that leads me to my next thing, and Grizzly, this is for you, man. Look, I think Hangman Adam Page, unfortunately, didn't carry a belt because it seems like, and you mentioned this, and I agree with you. We get behind him for the chase. He has this intensity about him, but they put the belt on him, and his character just loses interest. Why is that? Let's go. I want everyone to answer that. Let's go with you first, Grizzle.
I don't really have an answer for that because unfortunately, but this is the second time it's happened. His first title, run, you were all like, want him getting the title shot. He got the title shot. He got the win, but then poor booking just kind of, you want to see Adam Page chasing the title. It's like the fans don't want to see him win the title or carry the title, defend the title, which I don't understand. As far as this match goes, it was a decent match. I mean, Shibata's okay. Shibata's a little kind of boring. He doesn't have a lot of flash to him, but I think that's kind of part of the thing. My problem with this being, though, is you can't say it was the main event because this is what don't make sense to me, and this is why I asked you about this. It rolled over into, and they were saying that, and we'll be rolling right into Collision. So there was no main event to this match because it just kind of rolled over. The end of the match and Hangman's promo actually rolled into where that was where Collision started. And then the main event of Collision was Mercedes Moné versus Red Velvet to unify the Ring of Honor Championship.
Which, by the way, that match was actually better than a Hangman Adam Page match, in my opinion.
It was, and that was
Collision was actually better. Collision was actually better than Dynamite, in my opinion.
But that's the thing. I watched it. I didn't see any other than Tony and Excalibur saying, "Oh, now it's Collision." It just rolled into where it just seemed like a 3-hour show with ROH Women's title as the main event, not Hangman Adam Page. And they should have had Collision maybe on Thursday night or maybe on Friday night. Figured something out. They can't do Saturday, obviously, because of the pay-per-view. But that kind of killed it. And that's also what killed it as a go-home show because there was no go-home anything for Adam Page because he wasn't the main event of the show. He was the final match of the second hour leading into the third hour, which was the second show. Why didn't they just do a 3-hour Dynamite and not do a Collision?
Or at least at the minimum, if they had to have Collision on last night, at least at the minimum, let Dynamite go off the air, have some type of a sitcom show, a half an hour or something, right? Before you then start Collision, in my opinion. But it needed to be that break in between them. Bob, I have a question for you. In the many years that you've wrestled, and you've wrestled for quite a few promotions, not just WCW, WWE. What's that?
Are you saying Bob's old?
Yes.
The many years?
No, I'm saying that he has a lot of experience.
Oh.
You've wrestled for, Florida Championship or other indie companies. Have you ever came across that guy that people are really hot for him? They put a title on him. For whatever reason, they always cool off on him. And if so, is it something happening with that individual? Or is that more a creative problem that they're not booking him correctly as a champion?
I can't remember back then, but who knows what the factors are. A lot of it in this case with the Hangman could be just lack of direction. It doesn't seem like, in the WWE, you got guys like Michael Hayes and William Regal and all these real respected veterans in the back guiding the guys in the direction they think they should go, whether it's right or wrong, doesn't matter. They're still there as guiders. And I don't know if AEW has that. I know they got Dean Malenko and others there, but are they in a position to guide? Is it the same scenario, where they actually help them with the matches? I don't know.
Right.
Because I'm not there.
Right. Robbie, I'm asking you the same question, and I wanted to get both of you guys on the page on that, because you guys are in-ring competitors. You guys have been in the dressing room. You guys have gotten to know, be friends with a lot of these guys. So what are your thoughts on it?
I'm gonna put the blame on both. I'm gonna put blame on creative, and I'm gonna put the blame maybe on, like guiding them direction wise or whatever. So part of it's got to be creative. Now you got him to be your champion, so you would think you'd put him over more or whatever. So I'm gonna put blame on, like a couple people in that.
Right. Now the overall show, look. If this was just a regular Dynamite, not a go-home show, to me, it was an average, typical. It wasn't one of their best. It definitely wasn't their worst. So if it was just a normal, regular Dynamite, I would honestly give it a B-. But because it is a go-home show is very important in my opinion, because, again, this is the final show that's supposed to grab you to get invested. So you're excited about, especially AEW, spending money for the average fan to watch the pay-per-view. Because it was that go-home show, I got to give it a C, almost a C-, to be honest with you. Because of that, they did not deliver, in my opinion. Grizzle, overall, what would you give it?
I'm going to go with you. I would say as a go-home show, I'm going to give it a C. Because look what, and you guys talked about it on Tuesday, look what we just saw on Monday night.
Right.
That wasn't their go-home show. That's next Monday night on Raw. And look at what they gave us at the end of the show.
Right.
NYPD there, and you were like, holy shit, that makes me want to see Survivor Series War Games, and it's not even until next weekend. That wasn't their go-home show. And they do that. This was AEW's go-home show, and I'll give it a C. Now, if you tack on that last hour of Collision, I think that actually brought it up, and
I agree.
And I hate to say it because I'm not a Mercedes Moné fan, but they picked it up, and I would give it the whole 3 hours overall a B.
Right.
And I think Collision picked it up. They dropped the ball with Dynamite. Collision picked it up. I don't think it should have been two separate shows. And we're talking Hangman Page and his, are there any other examples? I can give you an example right now, and I hate to say it because I was all for it. In January, when Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble to get the title, everybody was behind Jey. Everybody was excited when Jey beat Gunther when they won the belt. And then after that, it was just, we get to eat with him as he goes down to the ring. And then, a few months later, he lost the belt back to Gunther.
Right.
You were all excited for Jey. Jey got the belt, and then creative just kind of went, Jay's in a tag match with the other champion in a pay-per-view. It just, there's an example right there. I mean, it's kind of, if you look around, it's prevalent, unfortunately. You want to see them get the belt. You want to see them chase for the belt. And then they get the belt, and creator goes, well, hell, now what do we do?
Right. Bob, overall,
yes. I'd give it basically the same as you guys, the C for the other, B for the overall. But the thing is, when you're talking about what Collision should have been, or what it should have been 3 hours of this, or you should have had the sitcom in between, that's nobody's decision except the people who know the behind the scenes scenarios. Nobody knows a contract has a contract. Maybe they're contracted to have a certain number of collisions in a year. These are all planned in advance. It wasn't like a week ago they went, hey, Tony, you can't have the show on Saturday. We got to do this. No, they're planned ahead of time. So you can't say, well, let's just air it on Thursday. Well, maybe they're contracted to air sitcoms on that time slot or Thursday, not appease Tony Khan's company. So they got Collision. They got to have it on there. It's 3 hours. You're not going to go, let's do a house show down the road for a 1 hour show. Everybody's already here. Let's tape whatever the deal is. Who knows what the backstage scenario with the contracts are, and we don't know the inner workings. So that's, but again, Megan Bain, Maria Shafir, whoo, I like that match. And they're going to win the whole championship thing or whatever the hell this thing is. I don't
We're
even know.
getting 6 collisions here in Arlington starting in like January.
That's scary. But to Tony
They're-
Khan's credit last night, they did have 17,842 people in the arena last night. Just wasn't at his show. It was some other arena, probably watching basketball or
Hockey.
hockey or something like that. But, they were there.
Yep. Yeah. Robbie.
I give it a C minus. I'm giving it a C minus.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, go ahead.
No, I'm just, it wasn't nothing. There was nothing really special, nothing that stood out.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you hear me mention Megan Bain and Maria Shafir, sir?
I thought that chest bump between Will Nightingale and Harley Cameron was highly
Right.
exciting. that was fun. I chest bump.
She's good looking too, Cameron.
I liked Harley Cameron's promo. I like that. The kid's getting better,
She seems like she'd be fun to hang around. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Now, we're not going to talk about Collision, but since it was brought up, I want to talk about one thing, which is the match between Monet and, her name is is it Red Velvet? Red Velvet. I got to take my hat off to Red Velvet because I remember when she was first with AEW. She was doing a lot of their YouTube shows. I can't remember even the name of it back then.
Dark and Elevation.
Yeah, Dark. And let me tell you, she is one of those talents that has really, really improved. I think that she looked fantastic last night. And I have to say that this was one of Mercedes' best matches since she's been on AEW. I just thought it was a great match. Robbie, did you watch that by chance?
No, I didn't. I didn't see that.
Yeah,
part of it's I just can't stand Monet. I just can't stand her.
Well, you can lay her down. She don't have to stand up the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I was never a big fan of her in WWE, and now that she's over here with her 20 belts, I'm even less of a fan of her.
Fair enough. Grizzle Vet, what did you think about this match?
I liked it. I liked the match. I'm just not a fan of the Monet push. 13 bells and the CEO. Her in-ring work, it's decent. I thought the match was good. I really like Red Velvet. Like you said, she's come up a lot. And she's such a little thing. Red Velvet is tiny. But, I mean, it was a good match, It went where I expected. They're not going to have Mercedes lose on Collision tonight because that's leading into the pay-per-view. And, you just lost 3 days ago to Red Velvet. Now you think you're going to beat it. Oh, okay. So, obviously, it was going to be, it had
now, look, and actually, I questioned myself. Was it that I think Red Velvet has just gotten it that good? Or is it because I was so badly rooting for Red Velvet to beat Monet because I just don't like Monet's character on AEW. But and you guys may disagree with me. I don't know. But between AEW and Collision, you put them together, that was the best match of the night, period, in my opinion. Shelton Benjamin, that match with him and Speedball on AEW was the best match on Dynamite. But if you combine them together, I think that match between Monet and Red Velvet was even better than that match. And I think that was the better match of the entire night, in my opinion.
I think everybody combined it together because there was no division between the two. Like I told you, it was literally going to roll right over into the third hour. They do that every time. So
yeah. Yep. Well, that's going to wrap up the recap of Dynamite. Let's talk about Survivor Series. It's coming up a week from Saturday. Grizzle Vet, take it, man.
It is coming up a week from Saturday. Obviously, the Survivor Series War Games, definitely a different edition of Survivor Series than what we originally saw, which it debuted in November of 1987. Because the original concept of Survivor Series was teams of 5 fight to survive. And you had 10-man elimination tag team matches. That's what the original Survivor Series was. Like I said, obviously a different version than what we see now. War Games. Before that, when we had the brand split type thing, it was SmackDown champion versus Raw champions and all that. That was a Survivor Series. Who was the best one? You might have gotten one Survivor Series match on there. But the great thing about Survivor Series is, and what I want to talk about, because like I said, I never want to talk the history of everything. I want to talk the highlights and what we remember most is Survivor Series moments. And there were a lot of great moments, in the Survivor Series.
Yeah. Well,
wasn't the screw job?
Yes.
Canadian
Andrew Screwjob was at Survivor Series, yes.
It was. So I got my favorite matches throughout the years of Survivor Series. I have Edge and Christian versus the Hardy Boys versus the Dudley Boys. That was the Survivor Series November 19th in 2000. Bret Hart versus Steve Austin in 1996. I have, and by the way, I don't want to hear any whitey fans DMing me, I can't believe you brought up his name. If you don't like it, fuck you, don't watch.
Okay.
Chris Benoit versus Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho versus Edge and Christian, Survivor Series 2001. And my very favorite women's match of Survivor Series was actually Molly Holly and Gail Kim versus Victoria and Jacqueline, Survivor Series of 2003.
Those are very interesting choices.
I met Victoria, Lisa, a couple years ago at a fan thing in Jacksonville, Florida. What an awesome lady. Got to hang out with her in the bar afterward. Oh my God. Love her.
Jacqueline is
fantastic. I said Victoria.
I met Jacqueline. I met Jacqueline in Vegas. She's such a nice lady. She really is. Very, very down to earth, nice lady.
I met Victoria at CAC. I can't remember what year it was.
You mentioned Molly Holly, right?
Molly Holly and
she worked on some shows. Robbie Ido, I'm pretty sure you were on the shows too, like in Punta Gorda, right down the road from you, on a show when she was just starting out, like in the 90, 93, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. What I really liked about the Edge and Christian, the Hardy Boys versus the Dudley Boys matches of our series, this was before all the TLC matches. And even with it not being a TLC match, they tore the house down. The match was exciting. These guys could go. I really enjoyed the match.
See, it's interesting you bring up what your favorite matches are. None of them are Survivor Series matches.
No, they are
all yours are tags and singles.
Right, but they're more of your mid cards during Survivor Series, the pay-per-view. Yep.
But if you remember, like I was saying, the original series of the match, they were all 10-man elimination matches. There were no single. You might have had a world title. I think they did a world title thing 91, because that was when Undertaker won the title from Hogan. That was a single. But before that, it was all, they've gone away from that. This year's Survivor Series, we actually will have the MFT versus Sami Zayn, Shinsuke Nakamura, Motor City Machine Guns, and Rey Fenix. That's going to be traditional, but it's not on Survivor Series. It's on SmackDown.
The go home show. Yep. All these took place on Survivor Series. I get what you're saying. I've never the classic Survivor Series matches themselves. It was hard for me to get into just because these teams were thrown together. And obviously that's the whole thing about Survivor Series, right? You have a bunch of teams thrown together. That's why I like War Games so much versus the classic Survivor Series. Because yes, in War Games, I know the teams are still thrown together, but it's such a brutal match and there's so much going on inside the match. It's not really like a tag team match like Survivor Series were.
See, I like the original concept of Survivor Series. I thought the 5-on-5 tag matches were entertaining because, they threw them together. The original Survivor Series was playing off of Hogan and Andre from WrestleMania 3 because they were the main event, Hogan's team versus Andre's team. That was kind of the setup for it. But I always liked it because, one, there was some cohesiveness to it. If you had, usually the captains, they were in a feud. And then they would pick people. So if this tag team, if you had, like, say, for example, British Bulldogs, the other team might have the Hart Foundation. So they would kind of make them cohesive. So it wasn't just 5 random. But that was also the fun part of Survivor Series is how these 5 random wrestlers would work together as a team.
True.
And there were some great, look at when you had, Ultimate Warrior, the Legion of Doom, and Kerry Von Erich. You had the Ultimate Warriors. I mean, that was a very interesting, version.
Yeah.
And that, unfortunately, was all saying because they kind of cut it down to where there was a few matches that were 4-on-4. They actually cut down to 5, went down to 4. But I always liked the concept of it because of the fact that you had these mixes together, and you might see people working together that wouldn't normally work together. I think that's kind of what made Survivor Series, fun. And of course, remember the second Survivor Series, they actually had enough, and this shows you the difference of tag team divisions now and tag team division back, when Bob and Robbie were wrestling on it. They had a tag team Survivor Series match. 20 men in the ring. So they had 10 tag teams. I don't think you can put together 10 tag teams on WWE now to do a match like that.
Right. But the question I have is this, though. Going to that, is that just too many? Is that just too much happening in one match?
For that night, yeah, it was a little much. And if you got pinned, you and your partner were both eliminated. You didn't have to pin 20 people to win the thing. So at least they had that aspect. But I'm just saying, it showed you kind of just comparing it now, what the tag team division looked like back in the 80s. The fact that they had 10 tag teams and not a team of 2 guys thrown together, actual tag teams. You had the Bolsheviks, the Powers of Pain, Demolition, Conquistadors, whoever was under the hood at those times, because there were multiple Conquistadors. There was a lot of teams. Then that was what kind of made it fun. They got away from it for a little bit, went back to it. Now they've completely gone. And Survivor Series is now called Survivor Series War Games, and they're having the one traditional Survivor Series match.
Right.
But when you think of Survivor Series moments, you don't necessarily have to look at matches. You can look at moments, because remember Survivor Series, Ted DiBiase, the $1 million team, he brought out the services. I bought The Undertaker. He thought he was going to be Eggman, because that was obviously the gear of the gobbledygooker, which is the other moment.
He comes to our Legends lunches.
Was that
Hector Guerrero comes to our Legends lunches?
I've never met Hector.
He was the gobbledygooper.
I know he's the gobbledygooker.
Okay.
If I ever met Hector, I'd like to ask. I'd like to sit down and talk to him for a few minutes to find out the thought process of what maybe made him even. I mean, obviously, money. But why would you agree to put on that suit for the one? I think it was one time. I don't remember seeing the gobbledygooker after a Survivor Series.
You agree because you're going to get paid for it.
Well, yeah, exactly. I was going to say the money, but I was.
It's not like they said at the show. They didn't go, and here's Hector Guerrero. They didn't expose us, so he just got the money and he didn't care.
So my question for everyone then is this: Bob, Robbie, and then you, Grizzle. Do you guys remember having a favorite, something that happened in a Survivor Series that will always stand up in your mind? Look, I'm going to go with the obvious, just because for me, it is one of the most, the biggest moment that has happened, which was the Montreal Screwjob. I mean, that unfortunately is, I think, the biggest thing to have ever happened in Survivor Series that people will always remember. Go with you, Bob.
One moment I remember as being awesome at the time. I can't remember which Survivor Series it was, but Shawn Michaels was bleeding like crazy. And I don't remember if he came back to win or not, but the odds were against him and he kept fighting. That was the whole gimmick of the survival, and he was bleeding like crazy. I don't remember which one it was.
Yep. Robbie?
Agree with you. The Montreal Screwjob. That have to be because you to this day you're still talking about it.
Right.
Well, technically it's a show about the history of Survivor Series, so naturally you're talking about it. But other than that, who brings it up?
But
Brett brings it up every time we turn.
Yeah, well, Bret Hart.
Right.
He's bringing it up right now and he's sleeping.
Grizzle. In his
mind, Brett, he wrestled Goldberg in that screw job match, but
so, and I'm actually going to answer this question for you.
Okay.
What is your favorite moment as Survivor Series, and what do you think is the moment that changed Survivor Series, or he possibly could have even changed professional wrestling that's happened at Survivor Series?
Wow.
For me, and I would love to hear the other guys what they thought might have maybe changed. For me, my favorite moment happened way early in the beginning of Survivor Series, and that's because at that time, I was a fan. I wasn't following Backstage. There was no internet. I didn't know all the ins and outs and all that stuff. Not that I'm saying I know it all now, but when Ted DiBiase introduced The Undertaker and he came out, I recognized him right off the bat. I'm like, well, that's me and Mark Callis. Why? Because like I said, no internet. What was it? We didn't have, except for, the Wrestling Observer and the Torch and things like that. You didn't have the insider view and all that. So I was like, well, what's this? And then if you say what changed wrestling, you could almost kind of say, looking back on it, that moment, because that created not just a debut, but the debut of a man who made a 30-year career out of that character. Yes. Me and Mark Callis would not have gone 30 years with that gimmick. The gimmick wouldn't have worked. But he took The Undertaker and it created it, and that led into Mania, which led into the Streak, which led into, so you could kind of say the debut of The Undertaker changed the way we looked at wrestling because of who debuted. And it wasn't just an Undertaker debut. Remember who else debuted at Survivor Series?
Nope.
Remember a young kid named Rocky Maivia?
Oh, yeah.
Never heard of him.
You're right.
Right. He made his debut at the Survivor Series.
Was The Undertaker versus The Undertaker at Survivor Series 2?
I'm sorry, what?
Undertaker versus Undertaker, was that Survivor Series also?
Undertaker versus Undertaker was SummerSlam.
Oh, well, there you go.
That was at SummerSlam. That was with the whole, because they had all the vignettes with Leslie Nielsen looking for the Undertaker and all. Yeah, that was SummerSlam.
Right. You stole what I was thinking. Actually, that question that was going through my head because, look, the Undertaker was a guy that was with WCW, who he was told that he would never really make money.
Ole told him he wouldn't draw a dime.
Right. And what this showed was, if you have the right person with the right gimmick who's able to actually do something with that gimmick, how successful you can actually be. Because like you said, this guy with 30 plus years has one of the most successful gimmicks in professional wrestling history.
I would argue the most successful.
Right. I was going to say, I would argue that debut was way more important than even The Rock's debut. And The Rock obviously had a lasting impact on professional wrestling, but not like The Undertaker did.
No.
Robbie.
Not. I was just pointing out that was another debut that we had at Survivor Series.
Right. Same question for you, or even if you want to add to, what we're talking about, The Undertaker's debut and how it changed professional wrestling. Because you've been in a ring with me, Mark Callis.
Right.
What? So have I. Oh, sorry.
We're going to get to you.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. To have that 30-year run and stuff like that, and it's funny, like hearing that, like Ole saying, you're not going to make a dime in this bit, not draw, whatever. And it proves like, okay, Vince had this character and he's looking, and now all of a sudden he puts Mark in there and he takes off with that character, and he has a 30-year run and even longer because, people know who he is. Even, non-wrestling fans know who he is. So he obviously was the right person for it. Who knows, had Vince put somebody else in there, would they have had that 30-year run? He pulled it off. He played it well.
Right. And that's exactly what I was getting to when I was going to go to Bob. With this Undertaker thing, they gave it to Mark Calloway. He ran with it. We've seen how successful he was. Was the Undertaker success? Was it because of the gimmick, the Undertaker, or was it because the man who made The Undertaker successful. If they would have given it to somebody else, another big guy, Sagan and Jacobs would have gotten the Undertaker gimmick first, right? Would it have been more successful, in your opinion?
No, I think it's just one of those things that is what it is, as they say. I know a lot of people don't like that. It is what it is. But he was given it and he ran with it and he scored a touchdown for the ages. He's the greatest big man in history and the greatest over-the-top character of all time, in my opinion.
Right. Grizzle Vet.
And when I wrestled him, he kicked me right in the face. Right in the face. You know what I felt? The bump I took. That's what I felt.
Yeah.
For the two of you, I want to ask this real quick. You guys worked him in the ring. You know, looking back on when you worked with him in the ring, you see him now and what he became. Do you look at that and go, how did he get to this point? Because that's what I'm always fascinated by is guys when they're first starting and they're rookies and all that, and they're going, you see him now. Would you have even ever have thought that the guy that you worked in the ring could pull off something like that?
Well, I always thought he was good. You got to get the right gimmick, you know. I was always proud of people that I knew when they were something, and then they went on to be something bigger, like Steve Austin. Stunning Steve Austin, he was good, always cool to me, but they didn't want to become Stone Cold Steve Austin. Another one of the greatest characters of all time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there was a time where you couldn't go anywhere in the world and not see someone wearing a Austin 316 shirt back in the day.
Yep.
I'm actually wearing a Stone Cold shirt right now.
Yeah.
What?
So, well, when I worked him his very first TV match when they brought him in from Alabama.
Steve Austin?
No, we're talking Mean Mark. We're talking Mark Calloway. So he was easy to work with. I mean, if you go back and you look at that match, I have friends and said, wow, he destroyed you in that. It was like one of the easiest. It was like a night off. He was very easy to work with. So he had talent. He was very talented.
That's when he did the elbow off the top rope. That had to be a scary sight. Holy crap.
Yeah. So and it was funny because I didn't even realize it. Like he was walking and I guess he started to slip and, he apologized to me in the back, said, hey, sorry about the landing there. And even that wasn't, I didn't really even feel that. He goes, it was me or you and sorry about that, and I was like, it's all good.
You see, it shows you the difference between someone who's really good and the ignorance of a wrestling fan, because I wrestled Arn Anderson and you go back and you go look at some of the comments people made of the match. They go, oh, boy, that guy must have pissed Arn off. He kicked his ass. I'm thinking, you people are so stupid. Arn didn't even touch me hardly. Didn't hurt me one bit. But they believed it. That's the art of wrestling.
Right. Now, Grizzle Vet, here's a question. And look, the question I'm going to ask is, do you think that we're ever going to have a debut like that of someone that is going to change or have someone whose character is going to be as important as The Undertaker ever again? Now, we can put this on any PLE, right, debut-wise, but we're talking about the Survivor Series, and we're talking about this is where The Undertaker debuted at. Do you think that history can strike twice when it comes to that moment, that important moment?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Bray Wyatt
is it something I'm going
started
to
to
see in my
do that.
time? No, but can it? Yes. And Bob's. I'll let you take the floor on this one because you're going. I know exactly where you're going with this one. And I already agree with you.
Yeah, I mean Bray Wyatt I think he was on his way to be superstardom until whatever the reason, whether it was his own manifestations in his brain, because I know he had a lot of like self-doubt and different things, right? And his brain's always working, creative, blah blah blah, threw him off the trail or tracks. But man, at the beginning when he came in, I thought this guy's going to be something big, and I thought he still entertains me if I go back and watch, especially the old vignettes as they call them. And they had everything. He had the great music, he had the great entrance, he had the personality, he had that cult leader status gimmick. It was awesome, but it didn't last long enough.
Right. Robbie?
I don't know. I can't say that will you? I don't know. I guess it's going to take the right person, and what you're seeing like throughout all the organizations and stuff. I don't know if that right person's there right now.
And that is my thing. I'm trying to think, and I can't think of anyone. And we have some fighting talent out there, so don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But I can't think of anyone else right now, current, that is that person that could do that for wrestling.
Nope.
Not right now. There are definitely guys that are going to be like the main event guys,
right?
Going in that you're going to see a Braun Breaker, and he's not going to be like Undertaker level, but that kid's going to be a huge star,
right?
Now bigger than he is now. But no, you can't say never because you don't know what's coming up. We got guys out here in Texas that are, they're working on the weekends and all. Their indie guys, they're freaking fantastic, but they have to get that shot. And that's the other problem too. They have to get noticed. They have to be able to show these people, look what we can do. Look what I can do to get the chance to build that character to become where, as far as the Undertaker goes, I don't know if we could ever have something like him again. Not a 30-year something that you can go on for 30 years. I don't think that we could ever see. Could we see another Stone Cold, Rock, Cena, that? Yes.
Right.
That I can see. Undertaker, I don't know. Because I was like lightning in a bottle.
Well, I agree with that. Just like I don't think that we will ever, and this is my opinion, we'll ever see history strike again like it did with someone like Hulk Hogan, who not only did he change the industry for the better once, he did it twice. I don't think that's possible, especially because of where the industry is at right now. Right? So
I see another guy that could do a Hulk Hogan thing. I could see that.
But
currently
in the
right
sense,
now, no, but
in the
right
sense
now,
of changing the industry.
No.
But in the sense
that
of,
I could see. I can't see another Undertaker.
Right.
I could see another guy that, because remember we had Hogan and people thought there's never going to be another Hogan. And then one night on SmackDown, this guy runs out to the ring and tells Kurt Angle, what makes you think you can beat me? And he says ruthless aggression. You can't deny John Cena and how he changed things.
But you're missing the point, though. John Cena did not change the industry to the extent that Hogan did twice.
Well, Hogan did twice, but that's just, that was the NWO. That was like a hot angle, and then Hogan turning heel.
Right.
They tried to turn John Cena heel, and well, that failed. So doing it twice, okay, maybe not twice, but to get a guy that's like the Hulk Hogan level, okay, you've had The Rock, you've had Cena, and I think we're going to see another one of them again. That I guarantee. I can guarantee we're going to see one of them again. There's just too much talent out there that we haven't seen yet that's going to prove that spot. The Undertaker, I think Mark can very happily retire and one day, pass away knowing that nobody's ever going to be able to do what he did again.
Right.
He was a one of a kind.
Go ahead.
The reality is, and even though people don't want to admit it, but the reality is the entire business, at least as far as the WWE goes and most other wrestling companies, they're still living off the fumes of what Hulk Hogan did. WWE is on network television because Hulk Hogan got him there. WWE is where it is because Hulk Hogan got him there. So nobody's going to be able to change the business like Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan changed it, and this is where it is. You may have stars you may have big stars get built down the road, but nobody's going to be like Hulk Hogan, who becomes the ultra or the megastar and changes things, because it's already been changed, and it was because of Hulk Hogan.
Now, in regards to this year's Survivor Series, because I already talked about, we've got off a little bit, but we're talking about Survivor Series. Go with you, Grizzle. Do you think that with the current lineup this year for Survivor Series, that this Survivor Series has the potential of being so great that 20, 30 years from now, someone else on their podcast is going to be talking about this year's Survivor Series because of the greatness?
Well, I don't think podcasts will be a thing 20, 30 years. Something's going to evolve in this. I don't know what they're going to have when my kids are my age, what they're going to have as far as like, technology for shows and all that. This year, will we be talking about it? Probably not. I don't think there's anything that really stands out that everybody's going to be talking about, unless, like I said, like a Braun Breaker has his, star-making moment. But do I see that? No. The last Survivor Series and it's recent, that I think people will be talking about years down the road, and it's just because of the way it happened, was 2 years ago at the end of Survivor Series when Punk came out. Because we're still talking about that now.
It was good.
That music hit. You thought the show was over. That music hit, and that building just blew.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Right. And we're going to be talking about that for a long time because it's CM Punk. Right. This Survivor Series, I don't think.
Man, you beat me. That was actually my last question. And since you brought it up, we can talk about that. Robbie, do you think this year, same question, has the potential of being so great that people are going to be talking about this 20, 30 years from now? And the second part is, as Grizzle brought up, what do you think was the last greatest moment in recent years for a Survivor Series?
I don't think this one, I don't think you'll have people talking about it 20 years down the road. I won't say the greatest moment. I loved the moment of it. Io Sky in the trash can. That was, to me, that was a highlight. I thought that was a great moment. Here you throw yourself off the top of the cage with the trash can on you and hoping all the rest of the women are going to catch you. It was pretty ballsy. I got it. I thought it was great. That was my great moment.
Right. Bob, same question.
No, I don't think you'll be talking about it 30 years from now. You might be talking about it a year or two from now. But I think the last great moment was CM Punk coming back, because not only did he get the enormous pop, he was able to carry it on throughout the year. Yeah, he got hurt at the Royal Rumble and blah, 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 but he came back. And he's still one of the top merchandise guys. And I agree with Robbie on that. It was an awesome move that she did. But, it was a 30-second thing.
The second time she had done that, though.
Was it? Well, in that case, it wasn't so cool.
Also.
Oh, well, now I lost interest.
So where, and this will be the last one question before we wrap this up. The Undertaker versus Mick Foley, when he got thrown off of the cage. That was a Survivor Series, wasn't it?
That was King of the Ring.
Was it?
Was it King of the Ring? That's what I'm asking. I can't remember. Was that King of the Ring?
That was King of the Ring.
Okay. Was there ever an Elimination Chamber at Survivor Series?
That was the debut of the Elimination Chamber.
That was a great moment. Shawn Michaels winning the title. Come on, that was an awesome match. Triple H almost got killed by Rob Van Dam. Fantastic
We hadn't got to that point yet, but that was another debut with Survivor Series was the Elimination Chamber.
It was an awesome match.
Well, before
that would be one of my favorite moments.
Insane. And look at it now. Now it's its own pay-per-view. It sets up implications. It's part of the road to WrestleMania. You could say the Elimination Chamber has kind of had a very,
it's going to be in Chicago this time.
Yeah. The only thing about the debut of the Survivor Series Elimination Chamber that's always bugged me, though, was, Bischoff had the video where they showed the construction of it, and they kept emphasizing the bulletproof glass, the shatterproof glass, the indestructible glass chamber, and like 5 or 10 minutes into the match, Rob Van Dam got pitched through one and it broke in like 50 pieces.
I don't remember him doing that.
Yes, they talked about the chambers were made of bulletproof glass to protect the indestructible, and then Rob Van Dam got pitched through one and it broke.
Well, they told John F. Kennedy that too, but he kept the windows down. So
the one thing that bothered,
it's bulletproof, not wrestler proof.
The one thing that bothered me about the Elimination Chamber, it's not even about the Elimination Chamber, is the fans. The very original Elimination Chambers, the way it was constructed, wrestlers were getting hurt because of, but the fact that they went and they made it safer for the wrestlers, which I am a good job. I'm all about making it as safe as possible, but you have so many fans that complained that they changed it and they did make it safer
What they
for
changed?
that. So the metal around the cage and the floor, whatever.
Oh, the
there's
grates are on the outside of the ring. Okay.
Yeah, there's padding now, and
okay.
right. Go ahead.
Oh no! Protect the safety of our
Yeah,
wrestlers.
oh my God.
That's what I'm talking about.
Let them do stupid stuff, but protect them a little bit. Oh no.
And that was my issue, and that's what the question I was going to ask. Do we prefer the original Elimination Chamber where it was dangerous, where wrestlers were getting hurt, or are we fans of, yes, let's protect our professional wrestlers so we can have our favorites round a little bit longer?
Well, I say definitely protect them, and they're still getting hurt if it makes you feel any better. So,
I'm speaking of something, I only promoted like 3 shows back in California, but I always knew the goal of promoting a show was you want your wrestler to go back home to their family the way they showed up in the building that day. I don't want one of my talent to go out there and get hurt. So yeah, if you got to change it doesn't really change the match, but if you got to do something to kind of, protect your talent, make sure they get to go home to their families, on their own 2 feet, not like in a wheelchair, go ahead. We don't have to have the bloodthirsty craziness.
You're talking about like that much of an inch of padding.
Right.
And by the way, we're talking about CM Punk. CM Punk coming back. How cool it would be at the end of this Survivor Series if we get break the walls down. That'd be awesome. People go crazy.
I think he's coming back, actually. That's my
I hope so.
I think we're going to see one more Jericho run.
And a Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Hopefully. But do you have anything else, Grizzle?
No, I think we've had our Survivor Series fun.
Yeah. So that wraps up this edition of Get Your Bell Rung Pro Wrestling Podcast, the AEW Dynamite recap, and as well as us talking about Survivor Series, which will be again a week from Saturday. PLE on ESPN. Guys, you have anything else you want to plug?
Well, unlike the AEW show, I'm actually looking forward to Survivor Series, but I'm going to watch the AEW show thanks to Michael.
I am looking forward. I am looking forward to the pay-per-view.
No, I appreciate you giving me that link. I'm not being facetious. I'm being serious.
I'm looking forward.
I use that word.
For you.
I'm looking forward to the PL. I'm looking forward to the pay-per-view, AEW's pay-per-view this coming Saturday. Not because the weekly show excited me for it, but just because I personally think that AEW always puts on good pay-per-views. I'm never disappointed. I'm also looking forward to Survivor Series. Some of it has to do with Raw. This past Raw excited me.
I think it will be a great show Saturday. Megan Bain is on it, by the way, and Maria Shafir, so can't be all bad.
Yep. Robbie, you got anything, my friend?
I'm good.
Are you sure? Is that a crutch? Is that a crutch in the background? Oh.
I'll throw something out there. This Sunday, 12 p.m. Central on Pioneer 90.1 FM KSRQ. You can listen to Wrestling Memories. You can stream it live, radionorthland.org. Glenn Brogan and myself, we actually pick our choices for the annual PWI Awards. The awards ballot just came out, so we spend the hour talking about who the top candidates are for each award, and we pick our winners. And, of course, this weekend, I will be recording an interview with Mr. Robbie Idol to air over Thanksgiving weekend on Wrestling Memory. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, who's the wrestler of the year?
My choice, I hate to say
and why
this.
am I?
My choice for wrestler of the year was Mercedes Moné.
She's fired. Good. I don't like her character, but she's good.
This is what I base it off of.
She is.
Achievements, recognition, and you got to look at it that way. Yeah, okay, whoever gets the belt, whoever's going to put the belt on. But you can't, if you look at her year, you got to admit the girl's had achievements, and not just on the indie scene, not just AEW, but over in Japan, Mexico. So on that aspect, I gave it to Mercedes Moné. That was my choice for wrestler of the year.
But when the most important part is when the bell rings, she can go.
That as well. Athletic ability, yeah. I went it that way. I took my personal preference out of it, and I went kind of, professional on this, and that was my choice.
That's very professional of you. Now you're fired.
Okay.
Tomorrow on Get Your Bell Rung Pro Wrestling Podcast, we're going to have none other but Robert Cook, the son of the Cooker, Bob Cook. Robert Cook has had a very fascinating wrestling career as well. He was trained by his father, our co-host, the Hall of Famer.
I hope he doesn't tell the stories of those cocaine nights, and I used to beat him when he was a kid. Holy crap. Robbie, do something about this.
That's going to be at 6 p.m. Central. Guys, also don't forget to check us out on ECUSA. Again, find the app on Roku, Fire Stick.
Is there SmackDown recap this week?
And then Friday, we'll be doing tomorrow night, actually. Tomorrow night, directly after SmackDown, we will be doing the recap of Friday Night SmackDown. It is going to be myself, the Grizzle Vets, and Robbie Ido. We'll be talking about it. Did we like it? Did we hate it? Did it make us excited? Will it make us excited to watch? Again? Was that?
I said, will KG and Grizz fight again?
Maybe. SmackDown is my least favorite weekly program when it comes to wrestling.
Thanks to Michael, I'm going to watch SmackDown too. I feel slighted.
Well, then you can join us as well tomorrow night.
Well, I don't know. I might be busy.
I doubt it.
I got a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Don't tempt me.
Well, there you go. Eat your Cinnamon Toast Crunch and do the recap with us, guys. So
that's fascinating.
Some exciting things happening then. You guys have the Grizzle Vets Wrestling Memories coming up. Tomorrow night is Robert Cook, as well as the SmackDown recap directly after it. So if you guys wrestling fans, that's some great stuff happening for you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, guys. And until then, you guys have a great rest of your week.